Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
In that order, Bob. Oh no, it said John DePietro and Bob Zagami. I gotta figure out how to change that on the video so that it's Bob Zagami and John DePietro.
Pay somebody.
What?
Pay somebody. It'll be fake news because, that's what it will be. But well, you know what? Look at
Thank you for inviting me to your show, John.
We do a great job together. And you know what? Hey, as long as our audience has fun, then it makes no difference who gets.
I sure hope. Who do we have? Who do we have for an audience tonight?
We have a lineup of all-star. We have an all-star audience. We should tell you this, that we have a special guest all the way from Washington, D.C. via Texas, Monika Geraci, who will be joining us in just a minute. But first, I see Kevin. Go ahead.
All right, we got Plant up there. Mark and Julie Bennett. That's because Monica's on tonight. They don't usually show up at 7:00. So I'm noting that, Julie. So it's special for you. Jim Roy. Well, at least I'm on time tonight. Well, we would have been on time, Jim, but I forgot to hit the go live button, so I had to repeat a couple of things at the beginning. So sorry. Jim. Hawkey just texted me and he said that Roman rocked it on the USA Today, not USA, on the Today Show this morning. He says Roman nailed it on the Today Show this morning. So they must be back in the hotel, but apparently Roman was at the head of the line or something. But if you care to want to expand on that, Mr. Hawkey, we'd let you.
Well, let me tell Kevin one thing, that I was shooting a video tonight at 5:00 at a circus, a traveling road show where they have 15 RVs that the headliners travel in. And one of the units that we featured was a Cougar. So, Kevin, that'll be available on the Camper Report show next week. And in fact, I even mentioned Kevin in it when I saw the Cougar there.
Pretty good.
So,
you like that. So, Tim, women buyers have been there for many years from Tim's RV. Good day, mates. That must have been Julie. Maybe Mark was up there the first.
Yeah, Colorado.
Coming in from Colorado. And I know I tried to keep him away for a couple of weeks, Tim, but he came back. Yeah.
I had a couple of people say, I hope you're all right. But the reality is my youngest grandson was graduating from pre-K. See, in this day and age, there is graduation from diapers, graduation from pre-K, graduation from K, graduation from elementary school, graduation from middle school, graduation from high school. And there's one other thing, college, something like that. But by then, you're so sick of graduations. But, Zagami, we have some news headlines to talk about tonight.
We
features that we're adding here.
This is something new we're trying now. Last week, we tried the interviews with the dealers, and that was well received. So we're going to be adding that dealer component, but I didn't have enough time to get something in this week. We're going to be adding the component where the dealers come in for a couple of minutes. And what we're doing tonight, if I can find my slides. Oh, yeah. So tonight, we're going to talk about 3 items that were in the news this week. I thought the major one was Camping World's announcement that they're going to go to an exclusive brand-specific, manufacturer-specific dealership.
Single brand stores.
Yep. So they've opened up a Jayco only dealership in Morgan Hill, California. It's going to be very aggressive. They expect to have 6 of them within a few months. They're gearing it towards some of their new acquisitions, and they're not afraid to put them near existing Camping World. So I grabbed the wrong picture. Maybe that was the one they did early this morning, but it's very interesting. On the sign, it just says Jayco Morgan Hill. There's no signage for Camping World at all.
Right. Now, one thing that we need to point out is that our friend Walter Swenson pointed it out, that even though it's promoted as a new innovation in marketing RVs, in reality, it isn't, because there are several Jayco only stores. There's several Airstream only stores.
Right.
So, they must have got a new PR firm that had to show people that they know how to write a release.
Well, they kind of doubled down on it today in another announcement that I saw. Like it was still their idea, and they even mentioned, they said even something like there were some other dealers that carried only one brand. What the hell's the difference? You know, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
do have some stats later on. Our friend Scott Barr is doing monthly reports. You can see him on the KOA Press Room site, koapressroom.com. And we got a couple of slides. We may get to them, we may not, but there's more information out there. And then the industry lost a real pioneer and a legend this week, David Gorin, who kind of brought RVing onto the big stage, did a lot of work with campgrounds, did a lot of campground consulting, especially a lot with the new luxury RV resorts that have come into the industry over the last 10 or 15 years. And he passed away this week. So that was our little bit.
Yep. And before we bring on Monika, we should also give a radiation update where Zagami has said, I feel great. I've gone through what, 2 treatments, 3 treatments?
Three. We're off and running. 3 treatments and no effects whatsoever.
He lost his hair.
Yeah, I lost all my hair, but nothing, no effects. And I just drive down there and hop on the table. They spin the magic world for 10 minutes and I'm out of there. It's great. Great.
Yep. And the other thing is next week I head to Elkhart to pick up our Dynamax iSATA, which we'll be using on our summer tour this year, which we may have a new name for. But
what day are you going? What day are you going down? You're going to be on the show, or you're going to be on the road?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
They have this new thing called telephones and computers that allow you to work from the road.
Wow!
And we don't have to commit either.
It's going to be exciting to see. Should we bring Monika up?
So yeah, absolutely, Monika, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, glad to have you back. So it's a lot of interesting things happening in the RV. First, there's some people out there that may not know you, may not remember you. Tell them what you do and who you do it for.
Monika Geraci, and I'm the spokesperson for the RV Industry Association, and so RVIA and also Go RVing. And I've been there for 13 years. Came out of the Government Affairs Department, so I've done a number of different things over the years. I sit on the board of the RV Women's Alliance. You guys have had us on in that capacity before, so it's a little bit about me.
And Monika, like me, Monika went to Northeastern University. So
I did.
She spent some time in Boston, so
except
don't
Monika graduated.
Fool her with any strange questions tonight.
Except Monika graduated.
Yeah, that's.
Tommy just drove down Huntington Avenue a few times. And I see Walter Swenson is here. Walter, I don't know if you heard it, but I did mention your name a little bit earlier because you were one of the people that brought up the fact that the Jayco dealers and Airstream dealers have been single source dealers for many years. So with that in mind, let's talk about that that story. Well, you know what? In reality, a good story is a good commercial. We're not supposed to say that because there's supposed to be a difference between PR and advertising. But there was a big story that just appeared in USA Today. And the focus was on more and more women are appearing as buyers. Monika, tell us how the pitch on that story got going. And then tell us after the gist of the story, tell us how you pitch those stories.
So I'd love to take credit and say that it was something I pitched. This was actually an inquiry that came in, but I am going to take some credit on the fact that we do put out a ton of data. Go RVing and the RV Industry Association, we put out so much data. A lot of it is things you mentioned, Scott Barr, Karen Consulting earlier. We use him as well. The survey data that was highlighted in the story does come from surveys that Scott has done for us. So reporter reached out and had questions about women RVing. I was able to go back to Scott and get some breakdowns of women who have bought RVs, particularly from our first-time RV buyer surveys that we've done over the past 3 years.
Not women who've broken down, though.
No.
No. Okay. See, people can take words out of context. Women
No,
that
broke out.
RVs never-
Segmented might be a better
Yeah.
word for it.
RVs
Segmented
never-
out the women from these first-time buyer study survey, and that's was the basis of the story. And I love that it focused on women RVers. It didn't make the story. Definitely had I mentioned a number of times girl camper. I know you've had Janine on before, and she's a friend of the show and a friend of the industry. I think the work she's doing has definitely been impactful in this area. But it also focused on just RVers in general becoming more diverse. And that's something that Go RVing has been working on for over a decade, is increasing the diversity of RV owners.
Did you notice, or did any of the data show a lot of these women coming into the lifestyle because of the ability to work from the road, to work anywhere? Did that show up in any of the numbers at all?
Yeah. So again, this was a segmentation out of these first-time buyers, and when we look at the whole, so first-time buyers, we surveyed 800 first-time buyers that bought in 2020, and then 2021, and then 2022. And what we saw was these people, these buyers, bought for the same reasons people have always been buying RVs. It was love of road trips. It was wanting to travel in comfort, having an RV as a base camp for outdoor recreation. But what was really interesting was when we looked at, those were the top reasons for all 3 years, except 2022. In 2022, the number one reason cited was the ability to have some place to work while traveling. And so that work from the road was the number one reason for, these are first time buyers in 2022. And that transferred over when we segmented out women as well. And so it was both the ability to work from the road as well as homeschooling children from the road were big reasons.
Yep. Hey, Monica, you just said 800 people. That's a huge survey. I commend you for going that big on the survey, because a lot of surveys are done today with 50 and 60 people, which really aren't representative of the entire universe that we're dealing with here. So 800 was, unless Scott did that, but 800 is an amazing number.
I trust him. But yes, he surveyed 800 people. I didn't talk to 800 people. I'm not the data person.
No, it's amazing though. And the other thing is, on that work from home or work from somewhere thing, Zagami and I were flying back from the Winnebago meetings in March, along with Rick Kessler, from Palm Springs. Huh?
March 2020.
Yeah. What did I say? The wrong number?
No, you just said March.
Oh, I'm sorry. March of 2020, when the world was closing down behind us. And we had just left that meeting, and they thought, well, you know what? Maybe the year will be off 4 or 5% from the record year the year before. Little did they know the explosion in RV popularity, because it really was, quote unquote, the only show in town. It was the only place you could go anywhere. The hotels were shutting down, the airlines were shutting down, and, people definitely want to have their vacation time. They have to get away. Plus the fact, add up the fact that people were now working remotely from their home, apartment, or condo. But in reality, they could do that work anywhere. And they got the idea that, wait a minute, I don't have to be stuck in the cold Northeast here in March of 2020. I can take this laptop and be in Palm Springs, or I can be in Nevada, or I can be in, Florida. So wouldn't you agree that it was kind of the perfect storm that really allowed this story that was written to be written? And really, it's COVID driven. Would you agree on that?
And it definitely at the beginning was, and that's what we saw. There's been almost 3 different waves of the demand, is what we've seen anecdotally, and also from the data and the research we've done, is that it was that in 2020, that summer, after people locked down in their houses for 8 weeks, either people who were bored out of their minds, or people with small children who just wanted to get out of the house. Going RVing was, like you said, the only game in town. If you wanted that freedom to still travel while controlling your environment, it was going to be an RV. So we saw that as kind of the only way to travel in 2020. But then as things started to open back up, and there was that initial wave of people schooling their kids, school classes weren't back open, whether those were college classes all the way down to elementary. And so we saw a lot of people going and working and schooling from the road. And that was kind of a 2021 thing. And then we've seen that there's been this change in people's priorities, that getting outdoors, and there was already this movement before the pandemic, that getting outdoors is where people wanted to be. There's studies that show that 2 hours outdoors is the equivalent of 10,000 steps. You can believe that or not, but like that is there's a lot of mental and physical health benefits to being outdoors. And the pandemic really crystallized that for a lot of people. And so getting outdoors is still this change in what people want to do.
Did you say being outdoors for 2 hours is the equivalent of 10,000 steps?
I can send you some articles and some research on this. Yes, absolutely. There are studies that show that just being outdoors is good for your stress and your mental and physical well-being.
I would agree 100%, but that's nice. Now I don't have to do that walking stuff. I can just go outdoors, take my Jack Daniels with me, sit outside, absorb the fresh air. This is great, Monika. Thank you. This is what we're on tonight.
Maybe go for an hour-long walk, get those like 7,000 steps, and then you get benefits of both.
And look what Mark and Julie
if you think this body can do 6,000 or 7,000 steps in an hour, you're dreaming.
Yeah. And also, Monika, it looks like he's outdoors right now. Talk about virtual backgrounds, Zagami.
Well, it's nice to have virtual backgrounds.
Right.
That's where
you have a virtual background. What's that plaque you got back there?
What's
me?
Yeah. There's a
plaque.
That one? Yeah.
Those are my 2 40 under 40 awards.
2 of them?
I do.
Zagami and I are looking for 80 under 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't qualify for 50 under 50 or 60 under 60 anymore. But, Bob, see what Mark and Julie Bennett wrote. Go back to Mark and Julie Bennett at 7:18 and look at her quote. You read that? Monika, you want to read that?
She's reading my mind.
Monika, what are you drinking?
Oh, this is just water. It's my
Zagami,
cup I drink out of all day.
Zagami, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? What do you think I'm drinking?
There it is.
It is the magic brown
Jack.
magic stuff. What?
No awards after 50. That's right. Yeah.
Now,
You get an award for a living.
I'm seeing a distinct pattern here. Because Mark and Julie are not, they're not on at 7 o'clock every night, every show. Sometimes they come in and they say a few things. But have you noticed Julie is just as talkative on the computer keyboard as she is in person when we're interviewing her for one of our shows. So her brain goes so fast on so many topics. She just zaps that thing out there. So that's great. I should put a little picture of Julie up on the side there.
Yeah.
And
Monika,
no awards after 50. Hell, yes, there are. Yeah. Hey, before you jump off that topic, and I want to jump on to National Go RVing Day quickly, but talk about the solo women and the impact they're having. I mean, go ahead.
And that's more of an anecdotal. We don't have research on that, but that's definitely an area that we could look into having research on. But all you have to look at is Girl Camper, that very active Facebook group with a ton of women who are out there solo RVing or going with girlfriends. And it is definitely something that we're seeing. And I think some people in the chat are saying that as well.
Yep. Let's see what we get here.
Oh, I'm going to That's my mom. I was
your-
supposed to call my mom this afternoon, and then I didn't, and she texted me right before this, and I was like, I've got to go do a Facebook Live. And I sent her the link. I said, you can watch me. So then she's going to call me when I'm done, and I need to answer it. But she took my girls. Well, this is actually a fantastic transition over to National Go RVing Day, because my mom just got another. We've been RVing my entire life, but she just got a Class C, and my girls are up in Omaha with her and my sister, and she took the granddaughters RVing this weekend, I think in honor of National Go RVing Day.
Wow, that's great.
Perfect segue, Monica.
Perfect segue.
Perfect segue. Good thing you blew her off and didn't answer her question earlier.
So from our standpoint, we kind of jumped in with both feet here in New England. Our dealers supported it quite a bit, and we had a big campaign.
Yeah, Bob only had 42 posts on Friday.
Yeah, I was posting almost every half hour between videos and comments and what have you. What did you see? What did you see nationwide, Monica?
Yeah, so this was mostly on, well, we had a couple different areas on this. There was the social media. So this is only the second year we've done this. This was National Go RVing Day was established by Go RVing last year as a way to celebrate our customers and RVers, and also the industry. And what Go RVing has done is created a toolkit that gives the tools out to companies and organizations so that they can promote this day, whether it's a way to encourage people to go get a campsite or go buy a new RV or additional aftermarket products. So we've put this together so that people can, and companies and organizations can promote National Go RVing Day. And we saw a really good response. There were over 1,000 Facebook posts, over 800 Instagram posts, a number of YouTube videos that people put together. And then, Bob, you participated in this. Something new we did this year was putting together a webinar and some sample ways for local, in particular, we targeted the scent dealers, to how to go pitch local media. And using Go RVing Day, National Go RVing Day, as the tie-in, that this is what you can pitch to. So we did that. And then also we worked with Mike Caudell, who has been a Go RVing ambassador. He did some news packet. He did a news package that got picked up in, I think, 7 or 8 different areas. So on a whole, especially for being the second year that we've done National Go RVing Day, I would call it a success.
You shoot a segment with Mike and then pitch it out?
He does it. He records it and then pitches it out. Yep.
Any idea how many places he has to send it to get 8 placements?
I do not know how many he pitched it out to.
But he has existing content. He has
a lot of great existing partnerships and relationships with stations across the country. That's why he makes for a great partner for us.
Yep, exactly. You're not starting from zero every time. Cool. So, Monica, what would you say to somebody that is still on the fence about either buying, renting, or even going to a dealership to look after they've had, now you see RVs that are in car ads. General Motors and Ford has truck ads where they're pulling an Airstream or they're pulling a another type of unit. Does any of the research you've done indicate that this is the thing that put that person over and made them take action and buy, rent, or engage?
So we did this path to purchase research earlier this year for both manufacturers and dealer partners to have those insights into what are the pain points and what are the moments of delight along the path to purchase journey. And I will say that the biggest takeaway from this is actually not something we have direct control over right now, but having those childhood experiences RVing is the top but that has a really strong impact on people deciding to purchase an RV as an adult, is whether or not they RV'd as a child. So when we're looking at our PR efforts and our advertising efforts, it is focused on that family friendly, the younger, the millennials, and even younger now, and getting those people, particularly with young families, in RVs, because that's going to help with the long-term health of and success of our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that you do that plays out very well. Is this the one that I want? Oh,
that was the other one. I didn't know which one I was going to go or talk about the cost comparison, because this we do every 3 to 4 years is this vacation cost comparison. And it takes a look at what I love about this study is it's not a survey. It is a study that's done by CBRE Hotel Advisory Group. So it's a third party. Excuse me, sorry. And it looks at actual trips. So here's some of these that you have on the screen. And so this isn't a survey of like, what did you spend or what do you think you're going to spend? It analyzed the actual cost for these specific trips. And excuse me, talk for a minute because I'm going to drink some water.
Oh, all right. I'll put up the two. That was the four people RVing. They also had the 2 people RVing, and they go into. I mean, that's an extensive report. You know, sometimes the consumers don't see these. That thing is 100 and is that the 135 or the industry profile? No, the cost comparison.
This one's like 140 pages. It's very
like,
long. It has six. It really is. It has 6 pages on. One of the most important things about this is it does also take into account the cost of ownership, because that's important, because it's not, unless you're just renting, there is the cost of ownership, and I think it's 7 pages of the report goes into exactly what is calculated into that cost of ownership. So that's a really important thing to include. And it shows that particularly for a family of 4, that there's an average daily savings of up to 60% for a family of 4 traveling. And yeah, I just love that it has these trips, and you can make the comparison. It has a lightweight travel trailer, Class B, Class C, Class A. One of the things that it does do is also compares for the Class A, it does compare that to a luxury vacation. So there's that comparison as well, because people who are buying, particularly the higher end Class A's, are a comparable vacation is probably more like a more luxury vacation. So we're trying to make this actual apples to apples as much as you can in this situation.
Well, I like the way that they did that, because we talk about it every week. When you look at our industry now, we have so many different categories, and then of RVs, whether it's a pop-up or $1 million bus, we have within those categories, each of those categories, we have entry-level product, medium range product, luxury product. So when you get into a luxury product, you don't want to be comparing it to a Super 8 motel. You're going to compare it to a Ritz-Carlton or the top of the line Marriott hotel, which they did in this study. I found the study amazing, absolutely amazing. But it's reality too, because they have so many data points that were incorporated. And we all know the more data, the more accuracy you have.
Yeah. But we have a request to put that slide back up.
Okay.
The one we just had. It's interesting to see that the Northeast takes the almost Dallas to the Grand Canyon is a little bit more. No, that's 14 days. So DC, Cape Cod, 7 days for 4, $8,200.
I think that was I can't tell. It's a little bit small on there. That might have been the Class A, and comparing to a luxury. So all of these, there were 9 different trips, and they compared all. It was, like I said, there were like 6 or 7 different types of RV trips, and then it compared just driving, road trip and hotel, and then also flying and renting a car and hotel. So it had all of these different comparisons. The other really cool thing about it is it did take into account fuel prices. So we all know, like, when fuel prices go up, it filling up your RV or your tow vehicle, it hurts more. But rising fuel prices impact the cost of everything. and doing this study, it also took into account fuel prices. And I think, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I think fuel would have to go up to $26 a gallon. Let's not give anyone any ideas to get that high, but it would have to be, I think it was $26 a gallon for these RV trips to be more expensive than
All right, Walter Swenson. Somebody pick up Walter Swenson from the floor, please.
Now, the other thing here, and Mark brings, or Mark or Julie, it's entirely possible to travel in a Class A on less than a luxury budget if you do it right. And I would think in a situation like that, yes, your costs are higher because you got less fuel mileage, et cetera, but you've got the capability to buy your food in a supermarket. Whereas if you're staying at a high-end property and you're going to eat at that hotel, you're going to pay $12 for a English muffin and $10 for a glass of orange juice and $47 for the buffet. So, Mark and Julia, tell me if you're thinking along those same lines, because I've seen some luxury hotel pricing. And again, those are expense account hotels. So the person that's buying them, it's not, it really is coming out of their pocket, but they don't think it is coming out of their pocket. So anyway, Walter says,
oh yeah.
You got Walter down there?
I will burn it to the. Now, Walter, be nice now.
What was he referring to? I will burn it.
The RV, if it goes to $7 a gallon, he's burning the fifth wheel down.
Yeah, have somebody else burn it down, Walter.
Actually, Walter, make a hell of a bonfire when you and all your buddies get together down at Scussett Beach, or one of your Good Sam campouts that out in Greenfield. That would make for a good attraction.
Well, the Bennetts are active tonight. If people kept their driving speed,
well, I told you, because she can't stop talking, but she can't talk to the computer, so she has to pound the keyboard.
Right. And you know what? I figured out on the highway these last few weeks, if you're driving anything under 60 miles an hour, you are more at risk than driving at 80 miles an hour, because people are flying by you faster than I've ever seen before.
They drive real fast here.
Oh,
real fast.
Jerry Plant's trying to impress everybody with how old he is.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, I hate to bust your bubble, but when I was a kid just learning how to drive, it was 25 cents a gallon. We'd all go up to Magoon Square. We'd get all of our nickels, dimes, and quarters put together so we could buy $1 worth of gasoline, and that was 4 gallons of gasoline. That was in the early 50s, right? So,
Zagami, I got to find this piece of paper. Take me off here for 1 second. I got to find this.
Okay, I'll take you off there for that second. I might.
You don't have to ask twice.
I might just leave him off. I'll just, when he comes back, he's going to be in the lobby. I'll just let him sit there, and
you just won't see him there.
Right? No, that's right. Hey, in addition to that study, one of the other things that you do, and again, it's for the industry, but you do it extremely well, is the RV industry profile every year. And that's another one that has some incredible statistics. And there is a section called camping, I think. Is this it? Yeah.
Okay.
RV and camping demographics. So I pulled a couple of those, but I think one of the statements in there, in this, although it's an industry report, this is the purpose in terms of what you're doing. So kind of go into the thought process of that in the report a little bit, Monica.
Yeah. So one of the main priorities of Craig Kirby, the RV Industry Association's president and CEO, has been industry unity. When we're working together, we make for better experiences for all of our shared customer. And so the industry is a three-legged stool. We've got manufacturers and suppliers, we've got dealers and service, and then we have campgrounds. And we all need to be working together to identify where we can be better and how we can be creating the best experiences possible for all of our end customer. And the collaboration and industry unity across all three segments of the industry has been really amplified, particularly under Craig's leadership.
He's done an amazing job, and it's really starting to be noticed about the cohesiveness of all of our groups and all of our associations. We see it at the dealer level, we see it at the campground level, and that just makes it better for everybody. As Toby O'Rourke mentioned in her talk at the Power Breakfast, they are our shared customers, and we all have responsibility at every step of the journey to make sure that they're going to enjoy the RV lifestyle. And if they don't enjoy it, we want to make sure that we correct the problems that they had, whether it's service or poor facilities or whatever. But talk about who they are these days. Who are the new RV? Now this is the new RV buyers, but explain that whole process.
Yeah. So, and what's really important to know about this is that survey I've mentioned a few times. This is a survey of 800 first-time RV buyers in 2022. So you can see that on the age, it's getting younger. That's where you get that median age of 32. And then on the ethnicity front, we're a lot more. There's more work that can be done, but we're look more like the census data as a whole now than maybe we had previously. So this is where, when you hear anyone in the industry talking about our customers getting younger and more diverse, this is the numbers that show that.
Yep. And that I want to zero in on that 32, because I've seen a lot of places misquoting that number. That's just that new buyer, and that's only 50% of the new buyers in terms of what they're doing for what they have to 32. Now, there's no question that the average age of RVers is going down. I mean, when I get into RVing, it was 55 to 65 was the average audience. So it's gone steadily down, and even with that 32 being on the new buyer end of it, that's bringing the other one down. So on a national average, I think we're in 44, 45 years old.
So we don't have a number of that right now, and it may be something that we can do. We do the really comprehensive RV owner demographic profile every 4-ish years, and that came out the last time in 2021. So we're still a year or two away from doing that, and that is a really, really in-depth study, and that's where the median age is 53, and that was as of 2021. The median age was 53. So we do know that RV, and it was split pretty much evenly, half over 55, half under. But these are very first time RV buyers. I'm going to throw my mom, who I think is probably still on here, under the bus again. Like, we've owned RVs our whole life. My parents have, but she went a few years without and bought one this year. Well, it's not the first RV she's owned. So she's not 32. I know I look like I have mom that's 32, but like, so that's not going to count as one of those first time RV buyers. So I think that's what's really important, that we're bringing in a younger demographic for that first time purchase. And if we can get them into the industry at that younger age, it gives a lifetime to be upgrading and buying.
Let's look at what I'll be with you in a second, Joe. Let's look at what they're buying, Monika. Oh, let's look. That's why did they buy?
Why did they buy? And so this is, like I was saying earlier, the traveling and comfort outdoor rec base camp and want to go on more road trips. Those are traveling and comfort is also up there, not in this graphic. So those are what we've seen in 2020, 2021, and 2022. But this one is 2022, and you can see that 39% want a place to stay while working. And that was the number one reason for people buying. Again, first-time buyers this past year.
Yep, place to stay while working. And
what did you have something, John, that you were looking for?
Yeah, it was a Woodall's story that was similar to talking about getting people into the RV lifestyle by upgrading, in other words, getting the tenters, because far and away the tenters are much much bigger number than anybody who owns an RV. I mean,
as far as prospecting, absolutely, yeah.
right. So rather than try to start with somebody from ground zero that's never RV'd before, there was an organization that was looking to convert the camper, the tenter, who's tired of sleeping in the rain or sleeping in a puddle or sleeping on a stone or a root system, to market a pop-up to them. And then all the studies showed there are a number of people that I know that are amazingly said, we started with a tent, then we moved to a pop-up, then we moved to a travel trailer, and now we're at a motorhome. Now, whether or not that's still the ascending level, that motorhome is ahead of a travel trailer, because there are some fifth wheels out there that are absolute luxury that you wouldn't call it less than a Class C motorized. So that's what I was looking for, and luckily I found it.
So this was another one of the slides, and this was similar. Go ahead, Monika.
Yeah, so this goes to the saving of money, and also, I mean, has anyone traveled on airlines lately? Did you get there on time?
As little as possible.
Was it an enjoyable experience? And you can see that here. 32% of people want to avoid common travel hassles. Again, top motivating reason for people to buy an RV. I did see Mark or Julie had a question on the first time buyers. It's first time buyers of a new or used. It's not first time buyers of a new RV. So it's either.
Oh,
just first time buying an RV.
Yeah. And, you talk about airline travel. I've got to travel on Tuesday morning at 5 a.m., which means I have to go to Boston the night before, spend the money in a hotel, because I'm not going to there's no point in going to bed if I don't. And so I've got that extra expense, plus the hassle of being shoehorned into a tin cylinder. And the thing that I love with airplane travel today, as soon as the plane lands, everybody's up. You're in row 30, and you're up trying to get your luggage out. Okay, it's just insane. Zagami and I were traveling. Where were we going, Bob? This last trip, Elkhart.
Oh, breakfast, yeah, Elkhart.
Yeah, Elkhart, where Zagami got delayed for several hours, and then last time he tried to come to Boston. He was on the plane taxiing to the runway, and check engine light came on the plane. They had to turn around, go back. Of course, when they went back, they couldn't get their gate back because it had already been occupied by another plane. They had to sit there for half an hour. Then they sat on the plane for an hour. Then they canceled the flight. And 7 hours after leaving home that morning for a 2-hour flight, they were driving back home because the flight was canceled. So
it's horrible. It's just horrible.
I was sitting in the airport a few months ago, and some delayed planes, and the guy literally behind me is on the phone. It's like back to back, like, so his head's right here, and he's saying to the person he's on a phone with, and he goes, oh, "This is so frustrating. I should just get a motorhome and drive." And me, forever cheerleader of the industry, I literally turned around and was like, "Yes, you should definitely do that." And then I was like, that was probably kind of awkward because this guy's like, "Who is this person and why is she yelling at me?" But definitely turned around and told him, "Yes, you should definitely do that."
Looking, at your PR activities, and you are the industry spokesperson, it'd make a great set of commercials. Because if you notice, when we're in the campground, we all know this. They're friendly people. They talk to each other. They talk nicely to each other. The kids play well together and what have you. You go inside a terminal at an airport, they're ready to kill each other. The kids can't get along. They're crying. They don't like what they're eating. I mean, it's like going into Miseryville.
They don't like that $14 hamburger.
We should have a commercial. On one side shows that nice family camping over here. The other side shows the torture that we all go through. And I've got 2 kids that grow.
We did do our radio ads, and they won some awards last year. And the radio ads did have that comparison to on a plane, and the whole go on a real vacation. And yeah, it's very different.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of posts here that are interesting. Dante says we met a number of people this past winter that came up through the ranks from pop-ups to Class A, Bs, and Cs. Okay. Jerry's point is very interesting. I noticed a cultish thing among tenters. RVing isn't real camping. Okay. Let me suggest to you sometime in mid-May, we went up to Wells Beach, Maine, to a Sun Outdoors property, and it rained and rained. The Atlantic Ocean was overflowing that night. And those poor tenters were out there, and they have a tarp over another tarp over another tarp. I think that would be the best time for the Go RVing people to go out there and hand them brochures.
I can pull it up and finish, you guys. There was an ad that Go RVing did, oh goodness, a couple years ago. And it was that exact thing, a tent camper in the rain that had gone with his buddies who were in an RV. And I think he ends up knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Please let me in. Please let me in.
That's exactly right. I remember that one.
Yeah.
All right, Julie's getting nervous. She's back on the keyboard now. Good for them. More RV campsites to us. I am not afraid to admit it. I'm a glamper. I can read the big screen here. I'm a glamper. Heck, when we remodeled our 1999 Country Coach, we installed 3 chandeliers. Oh, jeez, an electric fireplace. I don't know, Julie. I don't know what I'm gonna do with you. And Mark's probably sitting over there with his head under the pillow on the couch.
Yeah. Well, look at Walters. I mean, there you go. There is your
What do I do?
example. Tent, 2 pop-ups, 3 travel trailers. They have a 5th wheel right now, and later this year, probably downsized to a Class C. Walter, when you're ready to do that, let me know. We'll give you some tips on the brand.
So Walter, the Class B is no longer on the chopping. The Class B was the victim of the chopping block because you were out looking at them a couple of months ago. But I guess you thought they were a little bit too small for you and Donna. So maybe do a Class C. See, Mark says yes, she is. See, and Frank.
Oh, grandchildren vetoed the B.
Okay.
It's really not. I think a B is really a 2-person unit. However,
I would agree. So Frank thinks he's going to downsize to a tent
from a 5th wheel
from a 45-foot DRV mobile suites 5th wheel. Your tent will be in one of the storage compartments, and your wife will tell you can sleep in the tent outside of our nice DRV 5th wheel. I don't think that would fly, Frank.
No. No.
Wet bath eliminates the Class B. You mean the dry bath, don't you?
No, the wet bath. They don't want a wet bath.
Oh,
the wet bath is with the toilet and the sink all in one.
The same thing in one. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Now, although Winnebago has that unit, I can't remember the name of it. I don't know is it the Solus that has the pop-up where you.
We had that one. That was awesome. We had the Solus on the Fox and Friends Plaza. We turned. What was that in April? We were in New York and turned the Fox and Friends Plaza into a campground and had the Solus there, and also had a Keystone.
I wonder if our friend Dwayne Cyrus brought that down.
He did.
Yep.
Okay. He always gets to New York trips because he's a New Yorker and he knows how to drive. And of course, if you're going to bring those into New York City, you got to do them between 2 and 5 a.m. It's the only time you can do it. Especially that's right on.
Guarantee that you can get to the studio.
Yeah. But you guys,
Frank agrees with me. You're right.
Go RVing has good relations with Fox.
Mm-hmm. We do. Yep.
Than the other networks because they
well, it's also one of the morning shows that is really open to doing things like that. We've done things with other shows as well, but we do have good relationships with Fox.
Yeah, I know. Whenever you bring food into the picture, you get that guy Pete Hexeth or whatever his name is, who's always looking forward to
he eats
eat.
first, right? He goes right to the table and he's
Yeah.
eating while they got the camera on him.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
You do that.
Exactly.
Anything? What's coming up with the Go RVing, Monica? Any? Aren't they changing it a little bit from going on a real vacation and focusing more on the vacation itself?
I don't think so. Go on a real vacation is our campaign. What we are doing is it's bringing people. Go RVing has always been about the top of the funnel, right? Like bringing awareness to potential customers who maybe hadn't thought about RVing, and so that's going to continue to be a major priority for Go RVing, but also the retention and having those tools and how-tos to keep people in the lifestyle. Back to that, make sure they're having wonderful experiences so that we don't lose people out the back end. So doing that, we're also, for the first time last year, we did an SMT, a satellite media tour from Open House. And we'll be doing that again this fall, which should be great. So, Open House is industry only, but that's when a lot of the really great new features, new models are being released. And so this brings a nice sneak peek into what's being released to dealers and brings that message directly to potential customers and their local markets, and knowing what's going to be headed to their dealers in soon.
Who's going to be the talent?
I think you ought to hire John and I to co-host that show.
Oh, is a job interview right now?
Yeah. Well, no, we're just telling you to do it. We're not asking.
Oh, okay. All right.
Remember, Monica, we're Italian. We don't ask.
Fair. I should know.
And we don't apologize either.
Right. Because you know what? Claudel is good, but I tell you, I have seen. Well, Monica, you can tell when you're being interviewed by alleged journalists that have no idea what the hell they're talking about. When they'll call it a mobile home. Oh, that's a beautiful mobile home. Or I love that Winnebago. I mean, it says Jayco right on the side of it. I love that Winnebago that you're driving right now. Doesn't it drive you crazy to see how further we have to go to educate the general public on the various types of RVs?
Anytime you know anything about anything and you watch the news, you realize.
Oh, right. That's true. That is so true. That is
when you know something about something you watch and you're like, that's not exactly right. But that's our job, right? In the PR realm to help make sure we're educating and getting that message accurately out there.
Yeah. I've seen so many companies within the industry go out and find somebody who's, 110 pounds and blonde and, they're reading a cue card and they really don't know what they're talking about. But
hey, we only speak about
we're too old. We don't fit any demographics.
Yeah,
we don't fit the target buyer.
But speaking about talking, we only got about 5 minutes left, and I mentioned the KOA report for June, and one of the statistics was 22 million households are planning to camp on July 4th, and when you look at our prior success here to Memorial Day, we've gone from 21 million people in 21 to over 24,350 in 23. So all of the indicators are pointing in the right direction. I mean, no matter what aspect of this industry, whether it's the RV industry, the outdoor hospitality industry, every one of them is on the increase. I mean, there's other than unit sales going down and normalizing after COVID, but the base of people that we have and the way that they're going to use it. There was an interesting, this stat was on there. I had to talk to Scott about this one. He said on the June report, they say 67% say they will go glamping in 2023. Now, I don't know what they're throwing into the glamping bucket, but that sounds pretty high. Although I'll tell you, I've told the story many times. My two young daughters go glamping. They don't even consider that camping. So, we look at the tenters on one side who don't like the RVing. Well, there's a lot of people who go to these high-end resorts, including my two old, and they're 45 and 40, and they don't consider this RVing. They don't consider it camping. It's a luxury hotel room that happens to be outside. And
For
people have no problem
$450.
paying $250, $350 a night.
Yep.
But the one thing that was on that June report that caught my eye was camping and AI. It seems premature to even be talking about it, but when they looked at it, campers said, what do they got? 22 that never heard of it, no plans to use it for a trip. I'm not sure. Are you seeing anything in your studies and in your, even just your discussions, Monica, about the impact of AI yet? I know there's one application, Adventure Genie, that he's a former Microsoft executive. That got one that's powered by AI. But what's your take on that? And what are you seeing that you're going to have to look at in the next year or two for Go RVing?
So it was on our, so Go RVing does a trends report, and it came out earlier this month. And that was, I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but that RVers and campers were more likely than the general public to use AI and use things like ChatGPT. I mean, have you guys used ChatGPT? It's pretty amazing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Pretty amazing. But I have used it. Yeah.
And plan a trip for me, and it's the basis is there. So it's something that we definitely have 100% on our radar. It's something that the industry should have on their radar, for sure, because it's coming, and it's a fantastic tool if used correctly.
The old man wants to know if you're Italian also, Monica.
Geraci is my married name.
She married up. No comment, Monica.
Well, my father-in-law is also adopted, so actually there's no Italian anywhere. I just have an Italian last name. It is an Italian last name. There's not a drop of Italian in me or my husband, and therefore my children. But we all have we'll take the last name.
But you identify as Italian.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay. Walter wanted to finish on a strong note tonight. If we only get ChatGPT to manufacture and repair RVs. Someday, Walter, someday. Well, Monica, we are at the end of 60 minutes, and I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have it. It was a quick hour. John, anything to say before we give Monica the last word?
Thank you so much for spending time with us. We should let you know, folks, that Monica has one of the top jobs in the industry for promoting camping and RVing, or I should say RVing and camping. And we appreciate her taking time out of her non-business hours to be with us.
That's right.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on. I love my job. My job is literally just to promote all the great things the industry is doing and why this is the best way to vacation. So I appreciate you guys having me on and allowing me to talk about that.
All right. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks, Monica. And we'll see you folks next week down the road. All right.
And I'll be on the road.
You'll be on the road. John will be reporting from the road somewhere in his Dynamax Isata 3. All right, John. Take care. Bye, Monica.
Bye.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.